Hello, everyone. If you're here, you landed on Let's Talk News with your host, Leticia Romero. Thank you for joining me today. Today is October 14th, 2025. The government is still shut down. There is still peace in the Middle East. Hostages are home. And NBC News is still the worst news network in the world, except for CBS might be coming close. So thank you for joining me. We have lots to talk about today. We're going to follow the money today. Hello, Debbie. How are you? Good to have you with us. Me. Um, my mom is here. Let the games begin. Indeed. Susan DeRema is here. Okay, well, the gang is here, so we can have some good conversation about, oh, crying out loud. I had to restart my computer. Now all the things are popping up, but it wouldn't be my show if everything wasn't a mess. Excuse my hair and the hat. I wore this for Ramon and for anybody out there that wants to say that Brandon brought home more hostages than Trump and that what Trump did wasn't such a big deal. I've heard that a lot on X today. And screw them. So let's go, Brandon. I don't think Brandon can find his, you know what, if he had to pee. So, yeah, don't even. Hello, Francine. Good to have you with us. So today I thought, oh, wait, here comes Angela Ricca. Now the gang's really here. Good to have you, Angela. So I really thought that we would build on what we talked about yesterday, which was Neville Roy Singham and his wife, Jody Evans, who many people probably have never heard the names before, but they have more influence than you'd like to know. And they have influence in our government. They have influence in our young people. They have influence through money. And they're friends with George Soros. So I thought that we'd start stripping away. You are going to hear more about them, and I'll tell you why. Because since 2023, Congress is taking a look at them and their money and what they do. So what do they do? First, you should know that they're out of Chicago. Oh, are you shocked and surprised? He's not hiding in China. He lives in China. He moved to China in 2017 quite willingly after he sold his company for $700 million in change. And then, because China is China, he built the same exact company in China and competed with the company that he sold for all that money. So, but remember, when it comes to China, there's no such thing as copyright or human rights or protections. That's why you'll find a Gucci bag on the corner in Chinatown for $50 or $60, and it's every bit the quality of the Gucci bag that you will spend $1,000 in Gucci or in Saks or anywhere else, because there is no there is no protections. There's no protection of manufacture, of your thought, of whatever you create. There are no protections in China, and they don't honor it. Don't Congress want to freeze his assets? Well, they could try, but his assets are in China. So Congress wants to do a lot of things with him, but he's smart. He's from Chicago. So let me just tell you a little bit about him. So he's 71 years old. He's an American billionaire and a former tech entrepreneur. He has deep personal, professional, and ideological connections to China, particularly the Chinese Communist Party. After selling his IT consulting firm ThoughtWorks for $785 million in 2017, Singham relocated to Shanghai, where he has since built a network of businesses, media ventures, and nonprofits that align closely with Chinese government interests. These ties have drawn scrutiny from U.S. lawmakers, media investigations, and intelligence reports, which describe him as a key figure in a, quote, lavishly funded influence campaign that defends China and amplifies its propaganda. Now, he is a self-proclaimed communist and a socialist, and he comes out of, again, Chicago. He was working in the transportation industry, and then he decided to open up this consulting firm, ThoughtWorks. And he started moving around the country and the world, and he would hire consultants in India, in Africa, all over the place. By the way, India hates him. And very similar to George Soros, he has made problems for himself all over the world. And I'm going to show you a clip, an early clip from 12 years ago, before he sold his company, so that you can just listen to him. He was on Ghana Tonight, and he was talking about how, let me see where he is. Oh, crap. Here it is. Ghana Tonight. He was talking about how Bill Gates was no good. Pretty interesting. Watch.
What is technology colonialism?
Digital colonialism is about the fact that when I came to visit Africa 6 months ago, I was shocked to find out how few software programmers anywhere on this continent. You find all these big American firms talking about helping Africa. Ask them, how many programmers do you find in this continent? Africa is at the stage now, if we don't hire programmers who work here in Africa to solve Africa's problems, you are going to be spending the next 50 years waiting on others to solve the problems of Africa in the area of technology and software.
We have some here in Ghana. We have Soft Tribe.
Soft Tribe, you have Herman, you have,
yes,
people like
Herman, yeah.
Yeah, you have some of these brilliant thinkers, but we need 20 Hermans. We need 20 Bright Simons just in Ghana. We have that same issue in Uganda, the same issue in Cameroon. I was in Nigeria. They don't even have somebody of his stature in Nigeria. 160 million people.
Bill Gates, how many?
Yeah, ask him.
How many soft company?
How many programmers has he moved from his office in Bellevue to this country?
Why should he do that?
Why should he do that?
Yeah.
Because that is what's going to build capacity long term for this country.
He's selling his product. Why?
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. So is he trying to help, or is he selling his product? He's trying to sell his product. That's good for him.
You sell your product too.
No, but see, luckily for me, I have an easier business model. My product is putting people in country to build software. So when I leave, the people have the skills and they're doing their own work. I don't have a product. That's easier for me because my business model is simpler. But just to come and hire people and then they produce. But my goal is not to come here and do an outsourcing contract and send it to another country. That's the difference, because I am morally obligated wherever I go to make a difference in that country. That's my commitment.
So you think that as part of the discourse about Africa, economic degradation, we've been talking about that.
Yep.
IMF and World Bank appear to be interested in that a lot.
Yep.
Political stability,
Yep.
introduction of democracy.
Yep.
You think that software development should come up on top of the page?
I think it should. Even when you're talking about transparency of government, we know that e-government and software stuff like that can be used to help people report corruption and hold the government accountable.
Yeah, he says supposedly, his goal is to hold the government accountable and give the government back to the people. That's supposedly his goal. But we've heard that many, many times, right? We heard that with Hitler. We heard that with Castro. We've heard that, oh, crying out loud, we've heard that with every communist regime. And as a matter of fact, I'll play, if we have enough time, I'll play a clip from long ago of Fidel Castro speaking on American television about how he intended to give the government back to the people, and how he took control of the government then. And we all know how that wound up. He trains people. Interesting. Sound like he plants people. Oh, ding, 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 Miss Debbie. So that's exactly what he does. So he's got a media company. He has a tech company, or had a tech company, and that company had clients like Deloitte and Touche, Microsoft. He basically had information from all of these high-tech companies, including Bill Gates. And then he sells the company and moves to China, with all that information, where there's no extradition, right? There, well, first you have to convict him of a crime, but he is, he's got all this information now. And what is he doing with that information? Well, I'm going to guess, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, is that he basically sold it in China, or gave it to the CCP in China. And he's now very well planted within the CCP with all of his technology and with all the information that he obtained from American companies, which means your and my information. Could he plant and fund Antifa? Oh, he absolutely did. As a matter of fact, Martin Lee, I was thinking about you today. How are you? School is open and student is here for the lesson. I'm sorry it's taken a while to get on board. No problem. I was thinking about you today specifically because I thought you would love to hear all about Mr. Neville Roy Singham. And here you show up. This is wonderful. And candidates like Mamdani. Well, actually, here's where he gives $20 million a year. And oh, by the way, this is Mamdani's group. Mamdani interned here. It's called the People's Forum. Watch.
For the past 7 years, the People's Forum has been a home for our movements. It's where we come to learn and to struggle, to build and to organize for the world we need. We're the gathering point for over 200 member organizations, united in the struggle for racial, for gender, climate, and economic justice. Here, we stand against war, against genocide, against blockades, as we also build movements of the people.
The People's Forum has allowed us to build a movement of people who have dedicated their lives to the Palestinian struggle, a huge feat here in the U.S. that even our people in Gaza can see.
Donald Trump and his billionaire friends have launched a full-scale assault on everything we believe in and everything we fight for. And in this fight, our space, a hub for learning and for organizing, is also under attack. They know that our movements for liberation and working class power are built especially in places like the People's Forum.
In the People's Forum, we're able to not only defend our organizations and defend our struggles, but also connect to folks who understand, connect to folks doing similar work. When we're together, we're so much stronger.
We are where the movement is grounded, where we strategize, where we learn our history, and where we build solidarity to fight back. As far-right politicians try to permanently shut us down, we feel a responsibility to not only maintain what we have built, but to sustain our growth into the future. We have purchased a building to be the new home of the People's Forum, to hold our ground as attacks increase and be a permanent space for our movements to grow.
So, and guess where that place, that building is? It's in New York City. And guess where and guess what they organize? All of the Free Palestine movements, the George Floyd protests in Chicago, New York, Portland. As a matter of fact, if you go to IG, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, look up the kid Nate, Nate Friedman, and we've showed his clips before. He is the kid that follows all these protesters and tells you how much they're paid. Well, they all come from the People's Forum. Hi, Tony Whitaker. Thanks for joining us. That group covers a lot of ground. Holy shit. Oh, yeah. And let's see how much. So Singham has publicly praised China's governance model as a dual system of both free market adjustments and long-term planning, positioning it as a superior to Western systems. He funds a global network of nonprofits and media outlets that echo CCP talking points, including defenses of Uyghur detentions, support for Hong Kong crackdowns, and criticism of U.S. policies towards Taiwan and India. So Code Pink, This is Jody Evans, his wife's group. Go to that website. Your mouth will be on the ground. The People's Forum, $20 million a year he gives out for that. NewsClick in India, funded by Singham's network to promote pro-China coverage leading to Indian money laundering probes. And then Dongsheng News and Tricontinental Institute. It's a media and research groups providing progressive coverage of China with Singham's financial backing. This network, spanning Chicago to Shanghai, has funneled tens of millions to left-wing causes that blend progressive issues such as climate change with pro-CCP messaging. U.S. groups like the Party of Socialism and Libertarian PSL and anti-Israel campus protests have also received indirect support. All right, so our government is really scrutinizing Singham and his wife for what they're doing. But I mean, basically, he's the worst offender he should be brought up on insurrection, and his citizenship should be revoked because he's basically selling out America. And that's when you heard that they were going to start following the money. This is one of the guys. This is just one of the guys, but elite globalists, and it's pretty bad. I wonder how many left wings are involved with them. Hundreds of globalists, hundreds of bankers. He's plugged into everywhere. He's a rival of Bill Gates, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have the information from Bill Gates, because as I said, he had, he was a startup in Chicago. And oh, by the way, he was donating to campaigns, and he was using a Chicago PO boxes. So he was donating to political campaigns and using PO boxes in Chicago, claiming he still lived there. And he was donating all over the country. And that's how he did the not-for-profits too. So the New York Times did an expose on him, which I was shocked to see that they actually did it. But rather than read it for you, I'm going to show you this minute 34 clip from WION. It's international news, and it's based off of the New York Times article. Watch.
Neville Roy Singham, a tech billionaire, is named as a central figure in a pro-China propaganda network which is allegedly operating across the globe. As per a New York Times investigative report, he runs a lavishly funded influence campaign that defends China and pushes its propaganda. The investigation shows how Singham is working closely with the Chinese government and financing its propaganda worldwide. The groups in this network often appear to blend traditional progressive concerns with pro-China views, including defending the detention of ethnic Uyghurs and bashing pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. The investigation also places him at the center of organizations ranging from a think tank in Massachusetts to an event space in Manhattan, from a political party in South Africa to news organizations in India and Brazil. The report states the groups often share staff and offices, promote each other's social media content, and interview one another's representatives without disclosing their ties. The New York Times report further goes on to say Singham's groups have produced YouTube videos that together raked up millions of views. It further claims they seek to influence real-world politics by meeting with congressional aides, training politicians in Africa, running candidates in South African elections, and organizing protests like the one in London that spiraled into violence.
Now, think about where all these illegal migrants were coming from. Venezuela, Brazil, Congo, Africa, Nigeria. Think of where lots of scams were coming from too. And Neville had offices in all these places. So do you think it was a coincidence that all of a sudden we have this mass migration throughout the world. Now, this is a guy, right, who has information, lots of American information, has the means, has the network, knows how to build software, has implanted, as Debbie rightly said, implanted software and people all over the world. And all of a sudden in 2018, we see a caravan lining up in time for the 2020 census, right? And all these people suddenly know where to go. They all have phones. They all have maps. They know how to contact coyotes. They know that the border's open. How'd that happen? We watched Elon Musk do that with Starlink and connecting people and information. We watched him do that very, very publicly. But Singham seems to have done it on the sneak, and he seems to have stolen lots of information and used it for nefarious reasons. I like to think of him as, I talked about it yesterday, the evil Dr. Cocktail. Look, tell me, that's Cocktail. Here's Singham. Cocktail, Singham. To me, it's a television or movie character coming to life. So, what other questions do you have? Your guys are really quiet out there today, and I'm sorry for that because I thought that this would really blow people's minds, and I thought we'd have a lot of questions today. But while I'm waiting for your questions, I'll just tell you a little bit about his wife. Evans serves as president of, this is Jody Evans. She's right now, Code Pink is her, she's the co-founder of and board member of Code Pink. It's a socialist learning agenda focusing on anti-war, anti-imperialism, women's rights, and social justice, framing U.S. foreign policy as racial capitalism and imperialism. Evans serves as president of the People's Support Foundation, a grant-making organization founded in 2017 that funnels money to the left-wing causes, including the People's Welfare Association for overseas grants and media projects like Worldwide Media Holdings, invested in pro-China outlets like NewsClick and in India. She began her career as a Democratic fundraiser and activist, managing Jerry Brown's 1992 presidential campaign, which emphasized progressive economic policies and anti-corporate themes aligned with democratic socialism. She's long collaborated with socialist figures and groups, including signing petitions and attending events with Democrat Socialists of America, DSA members, such as Stanley and Betty Steinbaum, DSA affiliates. In interviews, Evan has been questioned about her association with explicitly communist and socialist entities, including photo ops with Hugo Chavez and collaborations with Socialist Action and Socialist Party USA, led by figures like Leslie Kagan, of a joint group with Evans. Okay, so yes, DSA, you know that name because that's where Mamdani got his start. So this is not a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a coincidence at all. They were all clean and not sweaty after walking miles in the heat. Oh, yes. But they got there. How did they know the border was open? My mind is blown, and it makes sense about all these groups against America. I'm wondering about the social media sites on the murder of conservative Christians, etc. Well, I mean, truly, that's what this is going for, right? Singham just wants money and power. That's all he's looking for, and he found it in China. Unfortunately, money can buy anything, including lives. It's been the way since the beginning of mankind, right? I mean, money is the thing. Money and debauchery. That's what people seem to want. The more money they have, the more debauchery they get involved in. And the more money they have, the more power they want. And then they start thinking that they're God, and all of them forsake religion because religion is for poor people, right? Religion is for people that can't control the world in their eyes. So this is what you should be looking at, and you should be talking about it, because here's the thing. Once when I found out about him, I don't know, I was running for borough president when I found out about him. So that was 4 years ago. And there was a shit ton of videos and interviews of him, praising Mao and, talking about socialism and communism and how great it was. And then when I went back today to try and find those videos, even though I had links for them, they were all taken down. They were scrubbed. So many billionaires wanting socialism and destruction of America. Yes, because it will further their power and money, right? If America falls, then whoever has the money is going to keep the money. Because see, America can make a billionaire out of anybody. And he knows that, Singham, because it made a billionaire out of him. Obama knows that. What's his name? Bernie Sanders. They all know it. So it's kind of like the Staten Islanders who were happy. They moved from Brooklyn to Staten Island, and then they wanted the Verrazano Bridge pulled up. They didn't want anybody else there. It's a mentality, right? So if they can get rid of America, they can stop adding to their social club, if you will. We're just pawns in their game. Well, we don't have to be. Right? Not in America, you don't have to be. They've gone too far with their socialist agendas and controlling the world. It's so insane and evil. It's true. It is insane and evil. And it always comes under the guise of helping the people, right? Sorry, we still have allergies here. It always, oh, look, my light went on. It always comes under the guise of helping the people. And it never helps the people. It only helps themselves. I don't know. Do you want to see this? I'll play just a little bit of it. It's Castro. It's worth looking up. I think it's Face the Nation. Watch.
Is this hopeful revolution now being threatened by some person or persons within the revolutionary organizations?
The government, the president of Cuba now is consolidated in the power and have the help of the biggest movement and of the public opinion.
That is the 26th of July movement, Doctor?
And many other organizations. And he is sure in power. The only thing worrying me is some group that is keeping and I spoke to the public opinion and I asked why to keep arms if there is no tyranny. I asked for they give the arm, turn the arms again, and they said they are going to give the arm.
Dr.
There is no difficult at all because public opinion in Cuba is now very strong and with a tremendous force. Nobody is enough powerful to opposite now the public opinion of the free country of Cuba.
Dr. Just
There was more. There is a long interview. And why I wanted to show you that is because he kept insisting that public opinion was against the president, that he was trying to convince the president to give up the arms, that why do you need guns if there is no tyranny? And then he was the guy that was shooting people left and right. Once he came into power, he shot people. He kept people living in poverty. He destroyed the economy of Cuba. He became so paranoid. He killed thousands of people. And exactly what he was fighting against, he became. And the people of Cuba who thought they were suffering before and were looking to him for help suffered worse than ever. And they continue to suffer today. So it's happening in Venezuela. It's happening in Brazil now. I mean, it's happening all over the place. And it's really, really scary. But because we've talked, we talk so much about George Soros and the money. I wanted to bring you a little taste of, Neville Roy Singham, and his wife, Jody Evans. You can get a lot of information online. It's mostly going to be related to what's happening now in Congress, with them trying to uncover all the corruption and what they have been doing, and how I guess they're trying to figure out how deep the problem is, because it's a big problem. We have a big problem. Our information is all over the place. Ireland too. Yeah, I listen. We've got trouble everywhere. We have trouble everywhere, and it's not a coincidence. It couldn't possibly be a coincidence, because I've said this a million times on this program. There was this great migration where, the Congo, people of the Congo left, Venezuelans left, all these people, right, suddenly started migrating. Well, what changed? What happened in their countries? I mean, if it was one country, like the Ukrainians migrated because there was a war. We understood it, right? Israelis migrated because there was a war. That makes sense. But that's not what happened it started in 14 and 15. And it continued on. There was no dire situation. There was no famine or earthquakes or catastrophes in all of these countries at the same time that made people migrate. So what happened? It was an artificial migration, and it was implemented, and there was no accident, and it was targeted to European countries and America. And there were people behind it. And I introduced you to one tonight. Maybe I'll introduce you to some more in the coming weeks. Share this with your friends. I'm sad that of all of the ones, maybe this was a little boring, I don't know, of all of the shows that I think is important, this one had the lowest viewership. So share it from YouTube, share it from Facebook with your friends. When they want to know where do these protesters get money, you just tell them Neville Roy Singham and his wife, Jody Evans. Everybody knows about Soros to nausea, ad infinitum. Well, now we got to tell them about the rest. All right, we're over as usual. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope that my sources helped you learn some things, and we'll do some more tomorrow. The UN was complicit as well as NGOs. Absolutely. But that's where, listen, this guy and Soros and Catholic Charities, I mean, we've talked about this in the beginning, when all this started happening. We were uncovering it as we were going along, and people were telling me I was crazy. Well, we're not crazy. And, thank you, Susan. We know because we put things together. We get a little information. I happen to have some friends that are billionaires that happen to talk too much. And then that's it. I'm off and running. My daughter happens to be a private investigator. She can find anything anywhere. I keep telling her, go work for Trump and the FBI. Help him out. All right. Well, we're way over. I will see you tomorrow night. Thank you. Please share and come back and see me tomorrow night. We will have some more deep diving to do. I should change the name of the show to Deep Dive. Okay. Love you all.